Good evening, and welcome to another episode of Maths in an Empty Classroom with me, Mr. Southern. Tonight we'll be looking at probability, the binomial distribution. First thing I want you to think about is to imagine you've got a standard die which you're going to roll 4 times. Now, what is the probability that out of those 4 goes you get 3 6s? Pause the video, have a think, try and come up with an answer. Okay, what you probably got is something that looks a little bit like this. So you've said getting a 6 has a probability of 1/6. That's happened 3 times. And we've also had one occasion where we didn't get a 6 with a probability of 5/6, and we've multiplied those things together. Now, that isn't the answer, because by doing it this way, we haven't considered the number of different ways that this could happen. Okay. So what we have here is we have getting a 6, a 6, a 6, and then not a 6. Now, note the not notation. You'll have met that before with probability tree diagrams. What we have to consider is actually there are 4 different places that this not 6 could occur. We could get 6, 6, not 6, and then a 6. And there are 2 other ways, a total of 4 different ways, all equally likely. So to get the actual probability, we will be multiplying that outcome by 4. Okay, what we need is a method that's going to tell us how many different ways we can get our desired outcome quickly without us having to write out lists of it could be here, 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 here. And what we use is what's called the choosing formula, and you'll be familiar with this when you did binomial expansion using brackets. In this case, because we attempted 4 times and we were asking how many ways can you get 3 6s, we're using 4 choose 3. So 4 attempts, 3 6s scored. I'm also slightly going to change the way that I've written this. I'm going to write 1/6 to the power of 3 and times it by 5/6 to the power of 1. And the reason I've done that is because I'm going to start to talk now about success and failure. What we have here is we had 3 successes. We wanted to roll a 6, we succeeded on 3 occasions, we failed on 1 occasion. So the number 4 there was the number of times that we attempted it. 3x, we're going to call our number of successes, times by p, where p is our probability of success, to the power of x, which is the number of times that we succeeded, multiplied by 1 minus p. Now that's the probability of failure, and you can see how that's played out here, because our probability of success was 1/6, and our probability of failure therefore is 5/6. And the power that goes on here is whatever's needed to make up to n. So we had 4 attempts, we succeeded on 3 occasions, we must have failed once. So this is a general formula for finding probabilities using the binomial distribution. The way that we write this, the way that we state that we are using a binomial distribution, is we write that x follows a binomial distribution np, where n is the number of trials and p is the probability of whatever we're terming as a success. So in this case here, x would be following the binomial and n would be 4, because we had 4 attempts at rolling the dice, and p would be 1/6 because that was our probability of success. Okay. So say I'd rephrase the question and said what is the probability of getting 2 6s, then this would change. We wouldn't be doing 4 choose 3 because we're no longer succeeding 3 times, we're only succeeding twice. So 4 choose 3 becomes 4 choose 2, and you can either write it as a 4C3 or you can write it as 4 choose 2 like this, which is the notation that I've used up here. we would then have 1/6 to the power of 2 times by 5/6 to the power of 2. Now, for choose 2, on your calculators there will be a choosing button. On the Casios that most people tend to have, you press shift divide and it tells you, if you put 4 choose 2 into your calculator, it should say 6. There's 6 ways that you could get 2 6s out of 4 rolls. If you want to just convince yourself of that, you could just jot down all the different ways that you could get 2 6s out of 4 goes. You should find you get 6 ways of doing it. Okay. So that is a very simple introduction to the binomial distribution. What we're going to do in the next video is we're going to do an example where we find all possible outcomes for a scenario, and then we're going to talk about the conditions under which we can use the binomial distribution for probability. Watch the next video.